Hi, everyone, and good afternoon or good morning. I don't know where you guys are connected from. We're very happy to welcome you today to this very first English interactive demo webinar from Centreon. My name is Richard Keromen, and I'm head of field marketing EMEA at Centreon. And today I'm with Mathieu.
Hello, Mathieu Correa. I'm the head of the pre-sale team at Centreon, and welcome everyone.
And we have a chance today to spend some time with you around a live demo. Or obviously, you all have a chance to ask any question in the chat interface that should appear on your right. We'll be very happy to take some time in the end of the webinar to answer all your questions. And I'm going to just run through the agenda of today, and Mathieu then will take the lead and do the demo. So first, we will show you how to industrialize the implementation of your IT supervision, IT monitoring, how to prevent incidents and improve SLAs, how to communicate on the state of health of the information system to various business units, and how to analyze the collected data to define the best IT strategy. So this is the guide for today's demo, and now we'll leave Mathieu. We'll leave the floor to Mathieu so that he can do the demo.
Thank you, Richard. Before we jump into the demo, let me give you a quick summary of what we're going to see today. And that also will be a good opportunity for me to introduce the various editions of Centreon. So 3 phases, basically. First one is the monitoring. Well, in this phase, it's basically putting all your equipment into Centreon to be monitored. And what we're going to cover here is how to speed up the time to monitoring. So we'll see functionalities like the plugin packs, plugins, the auto discovery, as well as the API to integrate with the ecosystem. The second phase is what we call business application modelization. And here we'll introduce a specific feature of Centreon, which is the application monitoring, but you can use it to monitor services, to monitor offices, to monitor countries. And basically, this is a way to, look at it from a user experience instead of just, is my CPU, above a certain threshold. So it's a finest approach to monitoring. The last part, visualization and reporting. This is the final part, and this is also, part of the business edition. Is we have all those data and we want to share it. So we have many ways to share it. We have geomaps, we have widget dashboards, and reporting. And the idea here is to be able to share it with all the stakeholders inside the company. So let's jump to the demo. And Richard, can you just confirm that you are seeing my screen?
Yes, sir. I will just ask the room to confirm that the sound is okay. I had got some feedback that the sound was pretty low. Is it okay for you in the room? You can type in the chat if the sound is okay or low. Just let us know so that we can maybe correct something. I don't see any answers. Oh, it's either. Okay. Thank you, Frank. So it's perfect. Okay. So let's go on. Thank you.
Perfect. Thank you, Richard. So yes, the demo that I'm going to show you is an online demo. So feel free after this webinars to go back and look at what you've seen today. I like to actually go to the demo, which is that blue button on the top right through the Centreon webpage, so centreon.com. So it also gives you the information about the various editions of Centreon, as well as the plugin pack, and I'll talk about it, inside the demo. But you'll have the reference here if you want to get more information. So when you click on the button, you'll get to that web page, and the user and password are demo and Centreon. So feel free to use it after this call. A quick information. We're running on the 2104. We can see the release here, which is the latest release. We have a 6 months development cycle. So we release 2 versions a year, one in April and one in October. So our next version is coming in October 2110 with a lot of nice and new feature. So during that development cycle, we focus on three main aspects: bug fix and security fix, new functionalities, and we also, for the third part of the release, we like to remove all technology inside the code and replace it with something more modern. So at the beginning, I talked to you about three different phases. Here we're starting by phase number 3 is really to show you what we're aiming at. We'll come back to that at the end of the presentation. But just to give you an example here, we took this example with an Office 365. We want to monitor it, and we have different widgets that we can use. And I'm going to just talk to you about briefly of what we're trying to show through that view. The widget on the top here is to show the integration with a third party. Here, we're doing a Maltem Insight Performance is a third party product that specializes in user experience scenarios, and here we're able to gather the metrics from that software and display into one central interface, which is Centreon. And we'll see throughout the demo that we can do that for security software, but any type of software really. And the goal is really to get everything into one central platform. On the top right here, we're talking about the plugin pack. Basically, we get some metrics from the plugin pack, and we're able to display the status. So here on the Office, we're just showing the health of the system, either with a green, orange, red square, or we can use also weather icon to do so. We have the ability to plug those metrics, those indicators, onto a map, a geomap that you can actually browse. You can actually do some drill down also. We have an office in Dublin, and have the ability to, when I click on this, to bring another type of graphical representation that makes sense for my organization. And I'll show you some of the drill down, because it can be very efficient to display high-level view for CIOs, for example, but at the same time give all the right tools for your support team to really narrow down the root cause of the issue. And then the last one, we're getting out of a little bit of the the real-time monitoring. This is the analytical part. So we have many widgets and dashboards that we can use to look at different information. Here we're looking at the SLA, SLO, for example, but we can also gather some information about the mean time between failures, the mean time to restore services, and this is really to help your team to improve the weak component as part of your organization. So to get to this point, we are going to go back to phase 1, and really what Centreon is trying to do for our customers, so this will be the base of the IT edition, is to develop some tool that will help you to speed up the time to monitoring. We don't want you to spend 2 months to set up your monitoring tool and then be able to monitor your system. So we're trying to reduce that time, and plugin pack is one of the feature that we use to do so. So a plugin pack, what it is, it's a preset of configuration that you can install in one click, and that will let you monitor any equipment that we have in this list. So we've got about around 600 now. We're getting close to 600 plugin pack with various type of technology. We have some cloud databases, hardware, network, operating system, anything you want. Well, almost anything. We have one of the widest catalog on the market, and basically when we set up an equipment, there will be a certain number of metrics also that we call services that will be available. So those plugins are available, developed by Centreon, supported by Centreon. It's a big, it's very important, because in case of an upgrade, we guarantee that they are going to work. Or if there is an upgrade of the equipment and it doesn't work for any reason, then our support can do the job to fix it. Of course, the base of Centreon remain open source. So if you want to develop your own plugin, you can. And we also have services that can develop plugins for you if the equipment you're trying to monitor is not part of that list. And we do that fairly frequently, because we had about 100 new plugins every year. The plugin pack comes, some of the plugin pack come with another very important functionality, which is called discovery. So we have two types of discovery: host discoveries and service discoveries. So basically what we're going to do, we're going to select the type of provider that we want to discover automatically. So we've got some cloud, Azure, AWS, SNMP also as well. We've got some Cisco, some Aruba, all this type of technology, VMware as well. So you select the provider, and then you can run the auto discovery, and we'll bring up a list of discovered item and automatically associate the right template, the template that we saw before in the plugin pack. It will be automatically done. That auto discovery can be run, if we look at the details, there's various configurations that you can do. We can map it to reduce the result, but we can also apply some policy. So we can do what we call a manual or automatic analysis. So manual, I get the result, and then I select, and I'll show you in a minute, what do I want to add to my configuration. Automatic means all the result is automatically added to the Centreon configuration, ready to be monitored. And then you can also run that one time because you want to create the initial configuration, or you can schedule the execution every week, every month, for example. And one example would be, you've got some virtual machine on an ESX, for example, and some of your team frequently add new VMs, but without telling you, because that's they need new VM, they create VM on the fly. You have the ability to scan it and detect that those VMs are new and add them automatically to the supervision. So this is a very, very important feature if you want to speed up your discovery. So if we look at the results, this is an example. So we've collected 193 equipment or host, and we can see here we can associate the right template. So here Palo Alto, we do have some Linux as well, and some Windows equipment. To give you an example, we run a POC on one of our customers in the UK about 2 weeks ago on Azure, and we were able to auto detect about 1,000 resources in Azure. So not only virtual machine, you've got Azure function in less than 5 seconds. So technically, in less than 5 seconds, I can create in my configuration about 1,000 machines. There will be, of course, a little bit of tune-up after that, but it's very, very quick. And the cloud, we are seeing more and more hybrid technology nowadays, and the cloud is definitely not a problem for us. We do have a lot of hybrids system that we can manage those very easily. The second feature that I'm going to talk to you about is the service discovery. Very quickly, it's the same mechanism as the host discovery, but you want to discover, for example, on an already configured machine, a switch, for example. You want to discover the port that are used. Well, we're able to scan that machine and get all the list of the port on the machine. Disk as well, because you may add disk to a server, to a virtual machine, and you want to be able to auto-detect those configuration changes. So this is done either, one-time shot or same as the host discovery. We can execute that, periodically to make sure that there is no blind spot in our supervision. So when this is done, we're going to go back to the main goal of, I would say, the base of the supervision, which is collecting metrics and sending alerts based on the results of those metrics. So before I show you this, let me talk to you about ACL, because everything that you're seeing here can be controlled with access control lists. We'll give so we have a set of rules that you can create and give access to a group of users, and you can control almost everything: the resources that you have access to, the command that you can do on the platform, as well as the interface that you can see on that user interface. So very fine granularity that lets you control what user can see and do on the platform. I think this is very, very important. So that event tray, basically what we do after that, we can alerts. That's the main goal. So either with SMS, with email, but we also have more modern connectors like Teams, Telegram, Slack, for example. And once we also have the ability to do some escalation. So if you have multi-level support and you want, for example, after 1 hour to escalate to another team because the incident has not been resolved or has not been acknowledged, and this is the button here. You can say, okay, I'm working on the problem. I understand it's going on, but it's acknowledged. Somebody is working on it. I can also set a downtime, and so the escalation, will be able to handle sending different notification to a different group of users if needed. We have the ability also to integrate with ITSM tools for tracking, incident into a ticketing platform. So we have a list of, some of them ServiceNow, EasyVista, GLPI, for example. I'm not going to, name them all, with either automatic integration and or manual integration. So it depends on the provider, but we can do, both on the ticketing. If you click on it, you'll be able to see details of the incident as well as the timeline, which can be very, very useful for troubleshooting, and a graph as well. So this graph is not very useful, but we can see, for example, the ability to zoom in on some of the metrics. It's important. So let me just move to the, here we go. So you have the ability to zoom in when you have multiple metrics. Sometimes it's important to go to a specific hour and see the exact value of the memory of whatever you're monitoring. Last thing, everything here is we also work a lot on the integration with other tools. So we talked about ITSM, but we have APIs. We have a command line APIs as well as the REST API that let us integrate with CMDB, for example. So you are able to either create the configuration or even collect some of the metrics, inside another external application through the API. And the last thing, we also have what we call a stream connector. So the ability to share that information with tools like Splunk, ELK, or an external database. And I think it's also very important because you may need multiple tools depending on what you want to see and do on your platform. But we have the ability inside Centreon to do so. With 2104, we release a new feature, which is called anomaly detection. So I'm just going to talk briefly about this. We have webinars online that explain it a little bit more. But the idea is, Centreon can, we have an AI engine in the cloud that would collect some of the metrics. So we can see the metrics here. It's a green line. It's a green line on the line on the chart. And Centreon with the AI engine will give you the value that is considered to be normal for that metric. So two use cases for this. First one is the ability to follow a metric more precisely. And this is important, for example, when we look at website, for example, that may have a lot of connection during the week and nothing during the weekend. If suddenly during the week you have no connection or peak of connection during the weekend, well, we can detect this is an abnormal behavior and send an alert. So that's the first use case. And the second use case is, let's say you want to put under supervision a new metric, but you don't want to have to define those, the thresholds, because it does take time. It takes sometimes a bit of tuning. Well, Centreon will do it for you. We'll get the metrics, we'll analyze it, and then after a certain time, 2-3 weeks, then we are able to propose the right metric, the right threshold for that metric, both upper threshold and lower threshold. So that's, you put under supervision, and after 3 weeks, it's ready to be monitored without any human intervention. So this is it for the I would say the event tray, the first part, the monitoring part. which is the base of everything. That's what you want to set up on your environment. And then once you have that set up, then we can enrich the data and what we want to do with those data with the feature of the business edition. And so the phase number 2, it's called the business activity monitoring, and this is a modelization of certain metrics. So the idea, and let me show you an example here. We've represented one of our customers called MonitorCent, and then we're going to create that impact tree. So that customer has an ERP, has got some security feature that they want to monitor from a logical standpoint, and services. But keep in mind that we can modelize. It could be a country, it could be different offices. It can be, if you have some retail point, we can modelize also shops. Anything you want to be modelized. The idea is to give, is it working from a user standpoint? So, for example, if we look at the ERP, we'll see if, and we do have, we're lucky here. So we can see that there's an issue on the back end. There's an issue with the server, but we consider that because, it's not critical for the ERP. So yes, there's an issue. There will be an alert sent, or support will work on it. But from the ERP perspective, my users are still able to use the application, and this is what we're looking for to do in this impact tree. So there is various rules that we can use. Best case, worst case, some ponderation, some impact. Also, you can define, for each metric, what is the impact on the overall health of each node. And the final goal is to also add additional metrics to this representation. So, and this is what we represent here. So this is for the node, for the top node, but you can imagine that we have all the same data, all the data for each of the node of my impact tree. And then we're looking about availability as well as the level of health. And this is what we can use after that to calculate the SLA of an application, of a services, of a network, anything you want to modelize with that application. So that's part number 2, very important. It's the backbone of the business edition, and which lead us to go back to the part 3, which is the graphical representation. And to illustrate a little bit why we do this, I think that view is very self-explained. So on the right here, I've got the event tray. So it's very important. As I said before, it's the base, you get the alert, but from that view, I'm not able to say which one is more critical, and really what's going on. Yes, we've got the alert, the support is going to work on it, but it's difficult to read from a human perspective. On the left here, we've got the exact same representation, but here we look at it from an application service perspective, and we can see, okay, I've got an issue on my CRM, my mail, I do have some warnings here, I need to look at it, with the ability to, okay, on my CRM, I can see my database as an issue, and then by doing some drill down, so I talked about the drill down, very important, I can see that both of my Oracle databases are up, but there's an issue on it, and I can go down to the component on it and say, okay, some of the table space, for example, have an issue. Same thing for our network. It's working fine now, but if there is an issue on one of the network, on the firewall, the switch, or the router, then I will see it in that view, and of course the top view. So let me give you a few examples of things that we can do, we have done for our customers, just to give you ideas of what you could do with it for your organization. So Acme Corp is a good example. One of our customers, they wanted in a simple high-level view to be able to see the business app, see the back office, as well as the infrastructure, the health of the infrastructure. And here we can also see that we added some external information. So we could plug in anything that we collect, it could be a user experience, but here we looked at financial information and also the number of cards and connected users. We still that availability here to do some drill down. You notice that there is a small icon here. It means that the incident has been acknowledged. So there's an issue, but somebody is working on it. And then, by doing the drill down, we bring another map that, did make sense for that customer because it's it's an easier representation to understand that, just the event tray. And then here I can see a got an issue in my domain controller. And then when I look at it, I can see, it's a demo here, so we're going back to see my Oracle database. But you understand the concept. And same thing, if we look at the cloud instance, and here it's Azure, but we can plug in any cloud, any instance that you have in the cloud, and actually mix it with the on-premise as well. Another example of in-more insurance, for example, you could imagine that you can put that on a big screen. We have the ability, in your support or maybe in information system department to make sure that everything is running smooth from an infrastructure, business view, operation. And same thing here, you have the ability to use either the drill down if you want to, or just stay on the high level if you want. We have the ability also to chain multiple views like this. So for example, every 30 seconds on the screen, then you can put a different view of another part of the system or do a drill down if you want to. Quickly, let me show you the maps, things we can do with graphical maps. So here we've already saw that example, with my office in Dublin where I was able to do some drill down. But here we use an image in the background in Ireland, for example, and then we place the component that we wanted to monitor, high level, of course, on the map. So the ERP that we saw before, for the monitor cent, we put it there. But same thing, we could represent the network if we want the network to be to see what's going on. We can do that very easily. And this is very easy to do. There is a client, it's a drag and drop. I would say it's between a PowerPoint and a Visio, so it's not very complicated, and you can get to maps like that fairly quickly. On this one, for example, we use the plant in an office map of a site. We have two data center, and by double clicking, I can bring down an information about data center number one. But we could have done something different. I could have used another map, for example, of my network topology if I want to do this kind of thing. Real time, of course, and with the bandwidth also that is real time. And then if you want to go a little bit further, then you can put an image of your rack, of your switch, and put the right indicators. This helps for support, to really quickly identify, where the problem is. The last view that I'm going to show you before we go into the last part, which is the reporting, it's another example of how Centreon can help you to centralize all the information that you have on your IT perimeters. So here, for example, we use the FortiGate, Kaspersky antivirus, and then basically we collect all the information from those equipments, and then we present it into one centralized interface. But here you can put anything you want. You put some technical view, you can put some host monitoring. We see here we've got another graphical representation, a little bit like what we saw for Acme Corp. You will design your own view based on what you want to see and what you want to monitor. The last part is the reporting, the dashboard. So we have a specific dedicated server that runs on top of the Centreon Central, and that does some, extract all the data and do the transformation so that it can be usable for some business intelligence. So here on the top, we can see the result of the modelization, that impact tree that I showed you before. So we can have the level of health of each of the nodes and be alerted when there is a degraded status, but also to know if it's working at 100% or not. SLA, SLO, so we talked about it. So we have that information I showed you in the impact tree, that availability information, and then we can display it. Could be the availability of an office, or if you have multiple customers, it can also be, the overall health of your customer or SLA of the customer. We can do some projection as well. So for example, if we have a disk storage, for example, then we want to monitor. In this case, the curve is going to the right way, but you can imagine it's going up. And then we can estimate in 85 days, I'm going to reach saturation of my disk space. So either I need to do some cleanup or do some add more disk. So here is to do some preventive action. So we we out of the real time. It's more like to analyze, some capacity planning, these kind of things. Of course, compare the metrics. Your metrics, based on the yearly data, or compare on the daily data, and then we find again the MTBF, MTRS, which is really to help you analyze which component has the most critical event, the time it takes to repair the services, and so you can work on this to improve your overall level of services that you give to your users or your end customers if it's your business. So those reports also come can be emailed as a PDF or as an Excel doc, and I believe we also support PowerPoint. So you can generate it in one shot. Let's say, suppose you want to go to a meeting, you need some important information from the monitoring system on your virtual infrastructure, for example, on your network. Then you can, print the document, or you can send it, automatically every week, every month, based on your need. I'm going to show you a few examples of those reports, but there is a catalog of examples that you can see online on our doc. So docs.centreon.com, and I'm sure Richard will send the documentation at the end of the webinar. So I'm going to go through it very quickly. Business availability. So we talked about that impact tree. Here we choose to modelize different offices, so we can look high level, of course, of the availability, as well as reliability and maintainability of all my offices. But it could be application, could be anything you want to modelize. Here we're looking at a more in-depth view of one of the office. We added some downtime, we added the previous period evolution, as well as a calendar view of our SLA, for the last month, for example. And I'm going to, quickly, we can also come down with the list of events for a specific application. Same here, you can customize everything. You change the logo, you can change the color, the date you want to, if you want last month, last week, this is fully customizable. And then you can also choose what you want to display. For example, you can create host group for your database server and bring this kind of report, for example, on Windows servers here. Look at the availability, the number of exception, but it could be your database server, it could be your web server, anything you want. We have more high-level report, like this is what we call the morning check. So every morning you send to your team, what happened last week, last month, yesterday, and then you can have a summary of your infrastructure. And then the last two I'm going to show you quickly. I'll let you go through that list. Network, for example. Here we go. We can look at the top 10 inbound, outbound interface, the most used, outbound, inbound, as well as if we want more detail, we can look at all the interfaces that we have on the network with some real data that can be used to, if you need to answer some of the technical questions. The last one I'm going to show you, if you do have a virtual environment, we have report like those already made for an ESX, for example. Same thing here is to give you the usage of your data stores, the IOPS on that ESX virtual environment, CPU, memory, VM hosting, and everything. So I'm done from the presentation, and I believe now we can probably open the floor for question.
Absolutely. Thank you very much, Mathieu. I think it was very clear and very complete. Now there's time for questions. So we already captured some of them in the chat. It's never too late. So if you still have some doubts or things you want to ask Mathieu, he's here, I'm here. So we're very happy to welcome your questions. If we don't have the answer, we'll make sure we'll get back to you with the answer. But in the meantime, I'll just pick in the list of the questions we received during the presentation. We got a first questions. We got many questions about the plugin packs.
Okay.
The first one is, are the plugin packs available as soon as we have any Centreon license?
Yes, yeah, they are. They're actually available in the IT and the business editions.
Okay, just for you to know, we will also with the follow-up email get the definitions of all the licenses, what it includes, just to make it clear, because we have a lot of questions about the licenses. Another question: is it possible to have an SLO in addition of an SLA?
Yes, and we saw that we have the SLA, service level agreement, and SLO, service level objective. So we can do both with Centreon. Yes, absolutely.
Nice. What are the criteria of the development of a new plugin pack?
So the plugin pack, as I explained, they're very. It's a very dynamic catalog. So if you do have a need that is not covered, talk to us, talk to the sales team, or come to my team, and then we'll fully qualify your need, exactly the metric. But basically, if there is a way to monitor it, either as an NP or there's an API, then we can develop a custom connectors. And once we do develop the connector, it's available to all our customer base. So if you do have an IT or business edition, well, every month we add new plugin packs. Well, you can get access to those.
Very clear. I just copy and paste the link to the different Centreon editions that we provide. Another question, which is about dashboards. If I understood it right, custom dashboards are available in the business edition, or are they as well in the IT edition?
Okay, I would say most of them come with the business edition. There is a limited number of widget that we can use in the IT edition, but most of the widget that you were able to saw, the maps, the business intelligence report, dashboard and widget, come with the business edition.
Okay. Next question we have I think like 4 questions, so it should be
Okay.
Fast enough. Okay. How do you do a service mapping, and is it automatic?
So no, the service mapping is not automatic. It's manual. We saw the impact tree. However, we do have an API. We do have a REST API that let us, when we need to industrialize the map release, and we can do that through the API as well. If you have to repeat, for example, you have many offices, many shops, and you have the same modelization, then we can use the API to go a bit faster into the deployment.
Very clear. There is a question about the option to have a trial version. So is there a trial version?
Yes. So there is an IT edition, IT 100, that is free up to 100 equipment that is available on our website.
Exactly. And if I'm right, and I think I'm right, there will be a link included in the follow-up email. So you can obviously try for free up to 100 equipment Centreon IT edition. And two last questions. Can we have dedicated views per user profile?
Absolutely. So I talked about the ACL in the presentation. So you can dedicate a specific view to either a specific customer, a group, a specific user, a group of user, and you also, because you have the ability to filter the resources, you have some of the widget that will only display the resources that you have access. So, for example, if you have a team that use Azure, for example, and they're only looking at handling that Azure part, then they will only see the Azure resources as part of the widgets.
Okay. You can still ask questions in the Q&A widget. We'll be very happy to take them. If we don't get more questions, it's going to be the last one. Can we generate notifications per business activity?
Absolutely. So notifications are usually done on the services on the host. But as I said, part of the modelization, that impact tree, then you can alert based on the level of health of each of the nodes that we saw in the demo. So yes, definitely yes.
And in fact, there is one last question, I think. How can I upgrade from the IT to the business edition? Is it possible?
Absolutely. So you can even, if you do have the open source edition as well, then you can upgrade to IT or business edition without any problem. They all rely on the same base. It's just additional functionalities that we add to the edition. So yes, absolutely.
All right. If we don't see any more questions coming, we will, I think, thank you very much for your participation today. We will send you a follow-up email as well with the recording, so you can obviously send it with your favorite colleagues. What else? Yeah, important. I send the link to the survey. If you could just take, I think it's gonna be 5 questions, 3 minutes. It will really help us to better to know better if this webinar was okay for you, what you would like to see more. Was it technical enough, not technical enough? It's very important for us to understand your expectations so that next time we can do better. And in the meantime, thank you very much, Mathieu.
Thank you very much, everyone. Hope to see you soon.
And have a great day.
Bye-bye.